Messages where Robinson flat out admits he shot Charlie. His DNA smeared all over the murder weapon. Evidence an ATF examiner testified is 1 trillion times more likely to point at Robinson as the shooter.
I got the chance to call out Candace Owens on national TV, and I did not hold back. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, your home for independent and nonpartisan commentary and analysis on news, politics, media, and internet culture, and more. We're going to talk a little bit about Candace Owens and about an appearance I just did on television discussing the now infamous podcaster and self-described conspiracy theorist in light of her very, very extensive and lucrative conspiracy theorizing and investigation into what really happened to Charlie Kirk, who of course was killed, the famous conservative activist, and now his alleged killer Tyler Robinson is in court for a preliminary hearing as the prosecution advances with charging him with murder. Now, the first few days, a lot of evidence came out of the courtroom and people were allowed in and people reported on what they saw. Candace, meanwhile, who has, done however many dozens of episodes about this and laundered all her wild accusations on everyone from Brigitte Macron to Israel to the Egyptian military planes to the Utah state government to the feds and Kash Patel to Turning Point Faith, and the list goes on of everyone she's implicated, just so happened to be on a vacation during this hearing and did not attempt to attend it to see the evidence being presented or hear the arguments in court for herself, which I think is pretty notable if you've dedicated your life to trying to find the truth to what happened to him, as you claim, rather than just grifting off of it for virality and clicks and profit. Wouldn't you, even if you're not going to believe some of what you see, wouldn't you at least want to see for yourself and hear what's being said in court? Apparently she did not, but I was invited on NewsNation to discuss this case and the more and more evidence that's coming out and how directly it undercuts the kind of conspiracy theorizing and salacious stories being spun by the likes of Candace Owens. Here's what I had to say. Let's watch.
We finally saw what the prosecution is holding, and it's not even close. Messages where Robinson flat out admits he shot Charlie. His DNA smeared all over the murder weapon. Evidence an ATF examiner testified is 1 trillion times more likely to point at Robinson as the shooter. 1 trillion. Second, staring down that pile of forensics, Robinson's defense team produced a whole lot of nothing. Not a single thing that put a dent in the alleged guilt. And third, and really this is the sick part, the conspiracy crowd is scrambling. That same unhinged voice or two or dozens, unfortunately, the ones peddling their theories about who really killed Charlie, they're now frantically rewriting them in real time. Every single rewrite just makes Robinson look guiltier. Now, among the evidence this week, texts where Robinson says he killed Charlie because he, quote unquote, had enough of his hatred. It's a choice to ignore all the evidence. Brad, we played some of what Charlie said on campuses all around the country. What do you think it says about our culture that we got to this place where even thoughtful, good faith debates gets him murdered?
Oh, it says something awful, to be honest, because I disagreed with Charlie Kirk on a lot of things, but he was always willing to have those conversations and those debates. And that's something I did absolutely admire about him. And it's not just, far left people who have dehumanized Charlie Kirk and his family. Like you guys have mentioned, there's also far right conspiracy theorists and podcasters, and I'm just going to put a name on him, Candace Owens, more than any other, really. I mean, I think what we are witnessing this week is first and foremost the beginning of the process for justice for Charlie Kirk, which is the I just want to pause here and say, I wanted to name Candace Owens because I've noticed this a lot in right-wing media. People are afraid of her, or people who operate in similar circles or used to be friends with her, what have you. They'll talk about the conspiracy theorists, or same with Tucker. They won't say Tucker Carlson when that is clearly who they're talking about. I find that to be, if you don't have the guts to say it with your chest and call these people out directly, then don't speak up on it at all. I find it kind of to be like a weaselly, washy, half in, half out approach to taking a stand against some of this insanity. It's either call them out by name and be clear about who it is you're critiquing and take whatever slings and arrows come from that, or be cowardly and say nothing, but don't do the thing, these conspiracy people, and it's clear who you're talking about, but you don't quite have the balls to say it. I don't like that. So I don't do that. I name names and I call people out when I feel it's appropriate. And I certainly do with Candace. Now, here's where I get into a why, which is the most important thing. But we're also witnessing the disgrace of Candace Owens beyond repair at long last. Because really, I mean, when you go through the evidence and the false claims that have been made in an actual court and then compare it to what the schizophrenic rantings you hear on the Candace Owens podcast, I mean, she claimed not only that Egyptian military planes were somehow involved, that she tried tracking and couldn't even get on the right continent, then just stopped talking about it. She claimed Tyler Robinson was never even there that day. Now that's been proven beyond doubt. Surveillance footage, and there may even be footage of the actual shot being taken. He was matched by his family to the surveillance footage that shows him on the campus that day. So I think we're witnessing, hopefully, the long wake-up call for people to stop listening to these charlatans who have lied about such a tragic and awful thing to make themselves famous and rich. Yeah. I can't think of anything more disgraceful. Wait, I kind of ate with that. And listen, I know that there are some Candace Owens fans who believe her and go along with all that and also like me and like my content. And that's okay. You're allowed to watch whoever you want. I'm not saying you're not allowed to or anything. I'm just telling you what I think, and I totally disagree. And yeah, I would hope that would maybe prompt some reconsideration or reflection if I'm somebody you've known to trust and be, an honest broker and thinker. But if not, I mean, you can continue to go along with that as the goalposts keep shifting and shifting. But I just would ask you guys to reflect on all the things that have changed, right? All the cast of characters in this crazy theory that she has included, then implicated or suggested that big evidence was going to drop against them, and then it doesn't, or she bungles it, so she just moves to something else. Like, it's so disingenuous. And I just think the evidence, even at face value, the idea that a person who'd been radicalized by left-wing social sentiment and had a potentially trans-identifying lover would want to kill Charlie Kirk, given everything we know about how crazy some of those extreme advocates and activists can be and how violent they can be and how direct Charlie Kirk was, kind of infamously, in his opposition to their beliefs and identities and the things they were passionate about, it was never far-fetched that the person who would kill him would be one of those people. And then it was always kind of crazy to suggest that hundreds of different people at all levels of different organizations, from Turning Point USA to the Israeli government to local police and prosecutors to the Utah state government to the feds, including federal agencies run by people who were dear friends of Charlie Kirk, all conspired in some amorphous, unclear conspiracy plan. That was always basically impossible. And then more and more of these claims have just fallen apart. Candace, like I mentioned, claimed Tyler Robinson wasn't even there at the day of the shooting. It's been proven he was there. His own mom identified him on surveillance footage. It's like his lover is testifying against him, and they have all these messages that have been verified and have metadata, and it's like the defense would have the opportunity to have them forensically analyzed, and they're fake. And it's like Candace doesn't even know how this stuff works. For example, she seized on, and she's been Twitter posting, because again, she was on vacation during this, which whatever, but weird. And she's like, wow, they're showing us photos of the text messages on someone's phone, and we're supposed to believe that? That's not all they have. Like, they've been digitally analyzed and uploaded as well. That's just an exhibit that's been shown in evidence and released to the public. But like, they have all the metadata. They've done a forensic analysis of this. It's all been cyberly analyzed. It's like, how are people still going along with this? I genuinely don't understand. Because it's not just a fun story. It's not just a crazy internet conspiracy theory. It's like real people's lives who are being demonized and harassed into infinity. Like Erica Kirk, his freaking widow, who Candace is now just open season on Charlie Kirk's widow, which I don't know how anyone can believe that's what Charlie Kirk would have wanted from his supposed dear friend. That I don't understand at all. And then, like, what about all the other things that I didn't even get to mention in this just brief TV hit? But, like, Candace had some crazy dude, Mitch Snow, on her podcast and then agreed with him as he claimed there was this secret clandestine meeting on a military base that he stumbled into where he saw Erica Kirk conspiring with a congressman and all these people like the day or a day or two before Charlie was killed. It turns out the dude's a total crackpot, completely unreliable, obviously just a crazy person. And the congressman he implicated was in Washington, D.C. the whole time in hearings on camera. It's like, how many times can you just get stuff insanely wrong and just people just keep nodding along and don't hold you accountable for it and don't stop and think, should I really be listening to this person? Should I really be trusting them as some kind of investigator? I mean, remember when Candace was interviewed by CNN and she got confused between the text messages and the Discord messages, and it was clearly laid out in the messages that they were referring to were SMS messages in the indictment of Tyler Robinson, which she clearly hadn't read, despite making this her whole shtick and her whole thing. I'm just stunned by the sloppiness of it all. Same with the Egyptian military planes. I briefly mentioned this in the NewsNation hit, but it's like she told us that these Egyptian military planes that she had been tipped off to and had identified were the key to everything with what really happened to Charlie Kirk. And she released this like data set. Then people looked into it, and she had many of these locations and times totally wrong of these flights that she claimed were tracking Charlie Kirk, and Erica Kirk mysteriously overlapped. Because, by the way, if a foreign government wants to track someone, they definitely send their official military planes to follow them around. That's definitely how surveillance works. But turns out she had many of the planes located, like, were actually on a different continent, and the data was totally wrong, and she promised to update it and correct it, but eventually just stopped talking about it and hasn't mentioned it since, like, December. At some point, it's on the people who continue to tune in and watch and don't. It's so funny. It's like they're so suspect of any official narrative, and they're just asking a million questions, and I think that's fine. You should be skeptical. Now, you shouldn't just assume everything the government ever says is false, but you should have skepticism for what public officials and government authorities claim, and that's why we have court proceedings and jury trials and times where the claims they make are scrutinized and they're forced to prove them in an adversarial setting and this kind of thing. But then it's so funny because it's like this crowd of the Candace Owens fans and of her ilk, they have all the scrutiny and all the questions for any official narrative. But then the alternative realities spun in these elaborate stories, they just never ask even basic questions because the theories don't even make sense at face value. For example, with Candace's claim that's been totally proven false that Tyler Robinson wasn't even there on the day of the shooting of Charlie Kirk, she claims that he was involved and was a patsy, but that at the actual shooting, the people you see in surveillance videos are lookalikes. Think about that for a second. If they've already, whoever they is, by the way, got Tyler Robinson involved, why would they send lookalikes and not just have him? It doesn't even make sense when you try to put yourself in the mind of a schizophrenic person. Even the schizophrenic crackhead sitting down outside a gas station down the street, yelling at you as you walk by, if you tried to explain this story that Candace Owens has weaved and made herself millions of dollars and just absolutely insanely famous by telling, they'd look at you and be like, that's not adding up. The crackhead would think that you've hit the crack pipe one too many times with some of this stuff. And it's just the difference between a courtroom with rules of evidence and actual arguments that are made and judges and juries analyzing stuff and a story you can tell just yapping on a podcast if you're not really concerned with factual accuracy is just night and day. But as this trial proceeds, and as Tyler Robinson is inevitably proved to have killed Charlie Kirk beyond a reasonable doubt, I don't know how there's any coming back from this for someone like a Candace Owens, who's staked their reputation as deeply, deeply suspect as it already was, honestly. But she's really staked everything upon the most outlandish claims and theories ever. And if and when, I don't really think it's if, but when, I think it already has, but as it continues to just totally blow up and fall apart, people have to respond. There has to be some kind of a market response where you mess up and bungle a story terribly and betray your audience's trust, and so they stop watching you. I've already seen some posts and some comments and some like social media folks saying like, I can't believe I ever went along with this crazy Candace theory, but I did honestly believe it for a little while, ... And we have to welcome those people, like, welcome back to reality. I'm glad you're with us. Now help us convince other ones in the cult to walk away. But if people just don't care and stick through it or keep moving the goalposts more and more and more about the crazy theories so that whatever's just been debunked is now no longer the story, then we might be cooked, chat. And some of those people might be beyond helping. But yeah, I'm going to speak unabashedly and unashamedly about this. I don't really care if people find it controversial or upsetting. That's what I exist to do, is give my honest take on things. And my take on things on this is pretty clear. Sorry, but the official story about what happened actually has a lot of evidence behind it. And the crackpots and conspiracy theorists really don't at all. And yes, the biggest name there is Candace Owens. But you guys can let me know what you think. I'm always open to comments and feedback. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you aren't yet. Do hit the like button while you are at it. And if you want to support my work, I don't tell insane conspiracy theories and elaborate stories with no basis in reality. So I don't have millions of views or millions of dollars like Candace Owens, but I do fine. And if you do want to support me and my kind of more even-keeled approach to political commentary, you can become a channel member by hitting the join button or clicking the link in the pinned comment. It's the best way to support me. And I also do videos where I respond to members' comments and questions and feedback. So if you have something you want to see me address on air, just become a channel member, then drop it in the comments section. And with that, guys, we'll leave it there for now and be back with more real soon.